Right. All right, as we are waiting for these people on Zoom, to our fellow classmates on Zoom here, I want to go around the room. Those of you on Zoom, in the chat function, I want you to post which of the 3 Sudanic states you are going to be doing your travel brochure on, either Ghana, Mali, or Songhai. All right, post that in the chat function. We're going to go around the room here in class, and people are going to tell me what they're doing. So we'll start here. Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Ghana. Sorry, Ghana, David. Songhai, David. What's that? Mali. Okay. What's that? Ghana, Mali, or Songhai? Okay. Everybody else in the chat function, I should see 11. Which of the 3 Sudanic states are you going to be studying and making a travel brochure about? Okay. Got 4. That is your entrance pass today. Make sure that you post that, please. What we're going to start off class with is a quick video here on one of the most famous African kings of all time, maybe one of the most famous people that ever lived, and that is the Mansa Musa, or the Mansa Musa. So I'm going to make this bigger. Good. Share. All right. So those of you in the room, here's a little bit of background. Like I said yesterday, on by far one of the most famous people ever lived. And we'll discuss this. It's only like a couple minutes long. All right.
If someone asked you who the richest people in history were, who would you name? Perhaps a billionaire banker or corporate mogul like Bill Gates or John D. Rockefeller. How about African King Musa Kita I? Ruling the Mali Empire in the 14th century CE, Mansa Musa, or the King of Kings, amassed a fortune that possibly made him one of the wealthiest people who ever lived. But his vast wealth was only one piece of his rich legacy. When Mansa Musa came to power in 1312, much of Europe was racked by famine and civil wars. But many African kingdoms and the Islamic world were flourishing, and Mansa Musa played a great role in bringing the fruits of this flourishing to his own realm. By strategically annexing the city of Timbuktu and re-establishing power over the city of Gao, he gained control over important trade routes between the Mediterranean and the West African coast, continuing a period of expansion which dramatically increased Mali's size. The territory of the Mali Empire was rich in natural resources, such as gold and salt. The world first witnessed the extent of Mansa Musa's wealth in 1324, when he took his pilgrimage to Mecca. Not one to travel on a budget, he brought a caravan stretching as far as the eye could see. Accounts of this journey are mostly based on an oral testimony and differing written records, so it's difficult to determine the exact details. But what most agree on is the extravagant scale of the excursion. Chroniclers describe an entourage of tens of thousands of soldiers, civilians, and slaves, 500 heralds bearing gold staffs and dressed in fine silks, and many camels and horses bearing an abundance of gold bars. Stopping in cities such as Cairo, Mansa Musa is said to have spent massive quantities of gold, giving to the poor, buying souvenirs, and even having mosques built along the way. In fact, his spending may have destabilized the regional economy, causing mass inflation. This journey reportedly took over a year, and by the time Mansa Musa returned, tales of his amazing wealth had spread to the ports of the Mediterranean. Mali and his king were elevated to near legendary status, cemented by their inclusion on the 1375 Catalan Atlas. One of the most important world maps of medieval Europe, it depicted the king holding a scepter and a gleaming gold nugget. Mansa Musa had literally put his empire and himself on the map. The material riches weren't the king's only concern. As a devout Muslim, he took a particular interest in Timbuktu, already a center of religion and learning prior to its annexation. Upon returning from his pilgrimage, he had the great Djur Mosque built there with the help of an Andalusian architect. He also established a major university, further elevating the city's reputation and attracting scholars and students from all over the Islamic world. Under Mansa Musa, the empire became urbanized, with schools and mosques in hundreds of densely populated towns. The king's rich legacy persisted for generations, and to this day, there are mausoleums, libraries, and mosques that stand as a testament to this golden age of Mali's history.
All right, so gonna stop the screen share for a second here. Quick discussion here. Mali is definitely an option. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to show you that. So, what are a couple of things that Mansa Musa did that the rest of the world will remember forever? What are a couple of achievements that he had or things that he did that changed West Africa and particularly Sub-Saharan Africa? David, put the phone where else. I'm going to send it down to the office. Let's go. You got to participate in class. Come on. So either on Zoom you can answer or in person here. What are some achievements? Ethan.
He took pilgrimage to Mecca with a bunch of gold, a bunch of slaves, and people on his horses.
Okay, so his pilgrimage to Mecca is one of the most remembered in history because of the amount of gold that he took with him. Literally changed the way that the Eastern Hemisphere worked from China, okay, across all the way to West Africa. He changed the way the economy worked for everywhere in the Eastern Hemisphere because of the amount of gold that he brought with him. There had not been that much gold in trade until he did that. Ian on Zoom said that he built hundreds of mosques and scholarly buildings. So there's a reason why Nigeria is one of the largest Muslim countries in the world to this day. It's the legacy of Mansa Musa. Okay, he brought Islamic scholarship and education to West Africa as well, an organization. If you saw his picture on that map, I was kind of alluding to that yesterday. That's by far one of the most famous maps of the Middle Ages. And the interesting thing about that map, okay, if you're doing Mali, is that is the map of basically that everyone in the Eastern Hemisphere took as the most famous map and the most accurate map. And the center of that map, does anyone know where the center was? Because they didn't know where the Americas were. Where do you think the center of that map might have been? Think about it. If all they knew was the Eastern Hemisphere, where would the center of the map been? Anyone have a guess? He says Europe. Someone else wrote on here Asia. Someone else wrote Africa. Everyone is kind of in between here. Think about this. Remember how important religion was. Where would it be, Ethan? Well, in the Middle East, but what city? Now, Mecca's a good guess. Yeah, someone else guessed Mecca also. Not Mecca. Yeah. Jerusalem is right. So the center of all maps prior to finding the Europeans sailing across the Atlantic Ocean and destroying American culture, you had Jerusalem, what they thought was the center of the world. Okay, so that was and then with Mansa Musa making that pilgrimage and introducing the gold and salt trade, it completely changed how trade in the Eastern Hemisphere worked for about 200 years. Okay. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be a little bit of a class where you're able to, like I said, work on your project now. I want to do one more thing, though, and that's just pull up the project and make sure everybody is on the same page. And then after I do that, we're going to have some time to work. We'll get the lights turned on all the way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share this on the screen. And just a couple of reminders here. So when you're doing this, make sure that you're picking, like I said, one of the three. You don't pick all three of the sub-Saharan West African kingdoms. Okay, they're all, like I said, if you looked at the maps yesterday and you were paying attention on Zoom, they all three of them come from the same area. Okay, so be careful with that. The other one then is make sure you don't have maps or pictures or a flag of the modern day country. Okay, unless it's like a ruins or something. Okay, because the modern day country is not the kingdom. Okay, I'm gonna post those sources to Canvas here in about 2 minutes after I get off of this, and then follow the rubric closely here. Okay, make sure you have this on your computer, and that's exactly how I'm going to grade it. So you'll have that, and you know how I'm going to grade it. It's not going to be different. Okay, so make sure you hit the minimum at least. And then the other thing, I guess, don't have more than 4 slides. So condense it, put it together. I saw some really good ones in period 3 yesterday. People started putting, like, you can put maps in the background to save space, stuff like that. Okay. All right, and you can share with me on Google Slides, obviously, or just send me the link. But when you do that, make sure you make it so that I can have access to the document. Okay. All right. Do you have any questions from those on Zoom? Okay. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your day. I'm here. You can send me a remind message, or you can send me a Canvas message during the class here as you're working on it. And if you have any other missing work, you know the school policy is you can turn in 5 assignments. I don't care how many you turn in missing work. Okay. There's no reason for you to fail any of your classes this semester and end up behind once we get a vaccine and get this whole thing going again. Okay. You'll want those credits, I promise. All right. You guys have a great day. Thank you for being active here. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Okay. Can